Don't mind me and my pillow. Off to off to rip roaring start. Woo! Hi guys. It is time for Facebook Live. Time. So we have a lot going on, which I'm going to share, and so it's made some of these Facebook Lives have been a little bit like, oh, it's Facebook Live time. Apologize for that. So, and I have to get out of the habit of these wonky beginnings. Hi, Doug. So, yeah, because we have many cool announcements coming up. Okay, so don't wear black in a video. So we actually, at some point, are going to do some video classes so that for those of you that want, for those of you nutty people like me that might want to be on here. Hi, Guy. Welcome back. Hello, you think? Houston. it was almost like, oh hi. So we have a lot going on, and I am like, it's not a New Year's resolution because I don't really believe in those, but pardon me while I adjust myself. Hi, Cindy. We are going to teach a video class on how to do video. One of the things is not to wear black, which you can see why, because it looks like a floating head, right? Luckily, there's a little bit of light in the background, but next week, I thought today was going to be the day. I'm going to like spend some time, some concentrated time setting up the situation here. Anyway, so we have a lot of things going on, and one of the things that I'm just going to throw out there and announce, squirrel. Instead of that's my squirrel. Instead of squirrel, it's scroll. Sorry, it totally sounded like Phoebe. Scroll. Sorry. So we're hi Doug. What's up? Yay, Doug can walk again. Yay. We are I'm just gonna throw it out there. We're launching a YouTube channel. Okay. So say hello. I can see that you're here. I can't see who's here. So yeah, we have that going on. And I thought today was going to be, we are going to try to live stream. Hi, Elizabeth, in 2 places, which for those of you that follow us at all, not a big fan of multitasking. As you can see, I was going to sit on a pillow because it's not as bad. Remember when I used to constantly be messing with my chair? At least I got that figured out. But for some reason, I feel short today. I feel short. I didn't know why I need an accent for that. So anyway, hi, Ling. Shoo-hoo. Oh, I think it's woohoo. I think that's what she means. Woohoo! We're launching a YouTube channel. So starting next week, we're going to try to live stream in both places. That'll be interesting. And so I need to cut these wonky beginnings, which I've been wanting to do for a while, because people on YouTube will be like, click. They don't have quite the same love we do in this group, I think. So I'm going to edit all this stuff. I was editing one a couple nights ago, okay, because we just put a few on there to get started. And I was editing one, and it was 5 minutes, like 4.5 minutes, almost 5 minutes of this, of wah, wah, wah. So today we're going to dive into, that's what it needs to start with. Today we're going to dive into building tension. I said it, and I mean it. Wow. Both Doug walking and YouTube. I know there's great things to celebrate today, right? He'll be walking on YouTube. I'm walking on YouTube. Woo-hoo. Okay, so we're going to dive into tension today. Oh, yay. Thank you, Deb. You're very kind. It's like whenever I finally shut up and start talking about what we came to talk about, because I figured this, if we dive right in, you know, we can't totally change. Like I won't be able to, can't change my spots. I say that cut it too much. But you know, I'm sure there'll be squirrel moments and silly moments as always, because we want that. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun. The fact that we're even here, able to do this, if you're watching the replay, the fact that you can take any time out at all for this kind of thing means that life is more spectacular, right? Super fortunate. So let's dive in. Building, I get it. Tension, right? Thanks, Deb. There's times when things happen, and having this group is like, oh, that's going to be great. Especially if it's something like, oh, what was that about? It's like, well, it'll be a good story for you guys. It's good. Yeah, it's good. Hopefully, hopefully it's twofold. Hi, Nancy. Good to see you. So yeah, building tension. We're going to talk about that today, and this whole thing. We are readers. Okay, so I have to figure out this whole YouTube thing clearly and not be completely redundant all the time. So we are always coming from a reader's perspective. We are readers. We read screenplays. We analyze screenplays for a living. So we will do these topics. Some topics are about the reader life, which is entrepreneurial, and the writer life, I believe, is entrepreneurial. If you are an artist in any kind, you are an entrepreneur, even if you work a 9-to-5, because people that work 9-to-5, even if it's 9-to-5 jobs in a studio, you're still always doing all these other projects, which means you live this sort of life that's not the typical I go to work, I go home life. So sometimes we'll focus on that. Sometimes as readers, we need to know how to break down a screenplay. If you write screenplays, this will help you as well, right? How to write a screenplay a reader will love, because like it or not, for most of us, especially anyone that's coming through here to learn how to read a screenplay, a reader will be reading your screenplay at some point. If you are someone who is independently wealthy, or you go to film school, there's many avenues. As many writers as there are, there's that many ways you can break into getting your screenplay done. I firmly believe that. But some people are able to, if you're a writer, director, producer, and you just launch your own movies, there's a good chance your script won't go through an official chain of a reader. Very rare. Most people at some point, even bigwigs, they hire readers to look at their stuff to give them unbiased opinions, right? Well, that's good to know. So Cherie's saying it takes a little while to get logged in. Sometimes the live thing doesn't pop up and I have to go digging for it. I'm so grateful for the slow starts. I just thought you did it because of all this. That is why. She says, I thought you did it because of a slow post. That's why. Building tension. So we're going to kind of I'll give you three, my lord. I'm going to try and stick to a little more of a script. Three, my lord things. Get it? Shrek fans? Tell me if you get that joke. Say Shrek, even if you don't know. Look, three basic things that need to be happening to build tension, and where tension is so important in any genre, even if it's not a thriller or horror film. You need romantic comedies, need tension, you need, chemistry or sexual tension, or you need comedic tension, or, the more things, there's energy. It's an energy that happens no matter what genre you're in. So we're going to kind of cover three areas of tension that happen pretty much in any screenplay, and how that idea of building tension is so important in the second act. Second act, in my super humble opinion, the second act is the hardest thing to write. Some people have a really hard time with endings. Some people have a really hard time with getting a script off the ground. However, as from the bajillion thousands, tens of thousands, don't want to lie, how many scripts I've read? I think there's been 10,000. I think there probably has. I've read a lot of scripts. The majority of those, they sag in the middle. That's the most common problem. Yay! Homework! My lord. You gotta watch Shrek. You haven't seen Shrek? You gotta see Shrek. Shrek is actually a really good example of, we had a couple of weeks ago, we did coming up with ideas. They take all of the fairy tales that are public domain and kind of, it's a big melting pot stew of fairy tales. It's awesome that way. And it's like you forget, oh, right, we can make fun of these characters. Disney doesn't own many of the characters that are in Shrek, so they kind of go with that whole beauty queen thing. It's awesome. I'm not beauty queen. They go with that whole princess thing. So it's really good one to watch in terms of storytelling. And it's also a really donkey. We talked about sidekicks last week. Say that 3 times fast. Sidekicks last week. Sorry. We talked about donkey as being one of the, quintessential sidekicks. He's such a good example of a sidekick. He provides humor. He provides backup in the army. He's a sounding board. He's a matchmaker. He's everything. He's awesome. Favorite character. I'm a donkey on the edge. I say that on a regular basis. It's become a thing in our family when we're literally upset. I've been upset, crying, saying, I'm a donkey on the edge. I kid you not. Welcome to my world. So yeah, trying to get the thing off the ground, that would be another, launch pad would be a good topic, actually. But primarily, because usually what happens is once you do get that thing off the ground, you stop, and we are experiencing this. We are doing the mastermind right now. We are experiencing this in the mastermind of people rewriting their first act, and rewriting it is like, just move on. Let's get this thing told, and then we'll go back and rewrite. So a lot of the times that first act can end up being really good because you get it launched, and then you're so happy that you got it launched, you go back and fix it, and then you just getting it finished. That's why the name of our mastermind is called Finished. We want to get you to the end of that. So a lot of times, that first act, once you get it launched, is actually pretty good, and then it goes awry from there. Sometimes it goes awry and then comes back again. However, most, not us, readers won't come back. They're out. So 3 things to build tension. First thing you need to consider, and there's many ways to do this, but I just want to give you sort of overview things to consider. And of course, there's a handout. So it's a pretty lengthy article, and it has a little exercise for you to do. But we're going to do that at the end because this is not in that. Yeah, Run Silent, Run Deep. That is a great movie example of a strong Act 2. Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan, as it borrowed much from Run Silent. And also, I have to read out loud. Also, what is the Taking of Pelham? 1, 2, 3. I don't know that one. Taking of Pelham, 1, 2, 3. The original has a great Act 2. It goes on the list. Thanks, Guy. That's awesome. So one of the main things that needs to happen in order to build tension, it might seem sort of obvious, but you'd be surprised, is that it needs to be relatable. We need to relate to the fact that, what's going on. We need to understand it. We need to relate to it. We need to believe it. Audience is a thing called suspension of disbelief, meaning that an audience will suspend their willingness to believe things that they wouldn't normally believe. They'll suspend their normal beliefs and go with you pretty far. I mean, when you think about it, Shrek, we are believing, and we are diving into this world of a troll and a princess, and we're there, and we're like, a ginger man's talking, and it's like the gingerbread man's, oh no, and all this stuff is happening. We're like with them. We will suspend. We will suspend that we're flying through space. We will suspend. But it's really funny because even in that world, we could be suspending that we are out in the middle of space. But if something happens with the character, no, he'd never do that. Even if it's like, no, none of this would ever happen, even if it's like dinosaurs are walking around and we're with them and everything, and we're like, oh yeah, these dinosaurs are cool, we're right there with them. Oh, but she wouldn't wear those shorts. It is, and we do that. People will do that. So it really, really, really needs to be relatable. The story needs to be relatable, and then the tension, the part of the concept of the tension needs to be relatable. So there's many ways to form tension. You can do it. There's a thing called time lock where you, so for instance, an antagonist puts a bomb under the table. We all know the bomb's under the table. The characters don't know, but a lot of times a secret that the audience knows that the character doesn't know, that's a very common way to build tension. And we know that there's a bomb. So this, and then sometimes you can slow time down. As we know, time is actually happening for real. And so you can build tension in those ways. There's a lot of devices to build tension. But even if you do that, let's say you slow, the antagonist, the bomb's under the table, and then we slow down and we show they're in a coffee shop and he's put a bomb under the table, or she's put a bomb under the table. And then you see the coffee dripping into the latte, or they're putting cream on it and they're doing it really slow. And you're like, that's a bomb! So, but if we just keep doing this, it's like something needs to change or give. Something that we don't expect needs to happen within that. Or unless that's the point you're making, unless, and I say this a lot, you can know all the rules, then you can break them, but also you can do something like that if you're commenting on it. So you can do something that's counterintuitive, and then make it go, oh, I didn't expect that to happen, which is why you have so many characters say things like, can you believe this? I don't believe this. Because they're talking for the audience. They're helping you with that suspension of disbelief by not believing it themselves. And that's a really great device to get out from under kind of what can be bad storytelling. Often if characters, you're stuck with something, let the characters comment on it, and then it'll help you move on. Let them do the talking for you. So that's kind of the main thing, is that no matter what the device is, you can build tension with the flashback. That can be a thing where, she's trying to believe that, or he's trying to believe that their spouse is faithful, and they keep flashing back to the time that they weren't faithful, or that builds that tension. Again, a relatable situation, and we will go with them within that. If you go down and you have a flashback, and that's a whole nother topic, you go down a flashback and then the flashback's 20 minutes of this former relationship, we get stuck in that story and we'll forget that there's tension here. So it needs to be relatable, and the device that you use needs to maintain that story and that relatability. That's a word, right? You see, I can lop off the beginning of these videos and still have plenty of silly moments. That's my brain. Oh my Lord. So, and then, so can't read my own handwriting. So then within that tension, so the second thing that the building of the tension has, and this could be a part 2 actually, where we go into all the devices you can use to create tension, because there's a lot of them. So, but today I just kind of wanted to talk about that general build and these 3 concepts that you need to have underneath it. So kind of the second part of it is that it needs to also have, I keep forgetting it to look again, is that it has to have, hey, Scruffles has joined us. She's like, she's so thank you. She's like the dog in Toy Story. Okay, anyway. That's how it sounds. I did a slow-mo video of her chasing a sock. It was a beautiful movie. You should put like la 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 la. Anyway, sorry. Woo! That was a huge tangent. Okay. The second thing, my Lord, is that you have to do some reprieves. If it's tension, pretty soon people just go. And there are some movies that are like that, and sometimes they're relentless. Actually, I think Black Klansman is a bit like that. It is relentless, in my opinion. I was tense that whole movie, the whole time. Even when they were kind of, well, for one, the trailers of it made it seem like a comedy, like it was sort of a buffoonery, kind of Coen Brothers-y kind of vibe to it. I didn't think it had that. It was very tense, and it was wonderful. I'm not knocking it at all, but it was like, and it was so compelling and so timely, and there were so many things about it, and so sad how both sides were just, there was just so much angst and anger, and there was so much tension and so much although there's a little bit in that movie, I don't know, kind of a spoiler, there's a little bit, hi Donna, there's a little bit, mother, right? There is a little bit in that movie of the Indiana Jones thing of like, the character goes through this whole thing of saving the day, and then really things sort of happen whether he was there or not. There's a bit of that in that movie. So, but a lot of tension in there, but it kind of worked in that film. But I did leave that film kind of tired, and I liked it better in retrospect. Like, I didn't enjoy it in the moment as much as I thought I would. I thought I was really going to be embracing it and enjoying it, and partly just because it's such a tough topic. And I mean, the actors are phenomenal, and obviously he's a brilliant director. So to me, it was really tense the whole time. So it can, yeah, right, Anson? Were you good? I'm glad to hear I wasn't the only one. It's sometimes, and in that film, it sort of made sense because what they were going for is a little bit different than kind of what a typical film will be going for. In a I don't want to say typical or general or any of those, because no movie is that, and no movie should be that. Your movie is not typical, but in a storytelling mode, usually an audience needs a break. So like if you took a movie like Jurassic Park and did that, and that's the example that we give, it totally wouldn't work, right? After a while, you'd be like, and I've read many scripts, but I've even seen movies like this where you're like, oh my gosh, just get them, for goodness sakes, just like, jump off the cliff. Like you get, after a while, you're like done. And now too with so many topics that we could talk about with all of these Netflix and series that are coming out that are, you know, or like a mini series where you're over several things. After a while, there's sometimes where I'm like, you know what? I don't care about these characters. I don't care, but go ahead, whatever. Like, just get on with it. Like, there's been times where, and part of that is when they try to just, you know, hammer tension in. It can just get overwhelming and you shut down. And that's very, very common. Audiences will shut down. When you see an audience start to either make fun of it, mock it, you know, those are the signs that it's not giving you. You have to like let the air release every great once in a while when you're building tension. So it has to be relatable and it needs to have some ebb and flow. The Jurassic Park, you know, have these the scary dinosaur is broken up with moments of the beautiful dinosaur. And even once it's nighttime and they're really, you know, they're running from it, whatever, they still have these moments of connecting, you know, still have these moments where they breathe, you know, it still has that kind of ebb and flow. And so I think, yeah, the 7th season of 24, that actually, because that's such a great concept where they're taking, you know, the whole thing is over 24 hours. It's a really interesting concept. So it does create that, but at least it's in snippets. You know, it's not like a movie where you're sitting there for 2 hours going like, oh, you know, sometimes it can be really hard. And I think part of my problem when I do miniseries is I do tend to wait, and then I like to wait and then watch them all, like pretty much, you know, binge watch, which is a whole new thing in this world of filmmaking, is binge watching. That's a whole nother thing to go down and a thing to consider when, you know, it used to be when you would write a series, you sort of relied on that week before the next episode to relieve that tension. So series build, right? And then they do a little cliffhanger, and then we have a whole week to wonder, ooh, what might happen and who's going to get off the island, whatever. So you might, I don't even know what that, is that lost? You know, and then we come back and then we kind of recap and we build that tension again. But when you binge watch, it's just, it can get relentless. And so I'm kind of doing that to myself, just sort of realizing, but that is something to consider if you are someone who wants to try to start writing for that kind of format. Some stories are just not meant to be told over 27 hours, right? Anson always cracks me up. Binge watch, woo! And I think now that we have a YouTube channel, you could binge watch these. That's enough to make your head spin. So we actually are organizing them into topics. So because we just felt like the Facebook page that we do these, where we do these lives, is like you have to scroll and scroll and scroll to find the ones that you want. I mean, you can go in the search bar, and I'm sorry to write that when people go, where is that? Wah, wah, wah. You just do, because it's getting big and this group moves quickly. So in the search bar, you know, if you type in Act 1, all the posts where we all talk about Act 1 will come up. So just FYI on that. That's a way to find the things that you want. But we thought that having a YouTube channel would be a good way to kind of categorize everything. And then the handouts, it's also a good place for all of the handouts to live. So we will have show notes for every YouTube video, and within every video, we'll have the handout. We're getting so fancy around here. It's quite spectacular. So don't, I can't read my own handwriting. No. I know what it is. I know. I got it. What's number 3? What's number 3, my lord? Oh, it's been that kind of a week. Because we got, you know, I was kicking the dog. It's my pillow that I dropped from earlier. One of the things that we also, we covered this in the screen reader course for those of you, I think everybody that's here, but for those of you that might be watching this on a replay, and we do this on the Hollywood Gatekeepers page and then share it into the group so that you can share this. So if you do have a writer friend that you think might benefit from it, please do share. We want you to share. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm super, oh, I remember now. I'm super scattered today. And I think it's partly because of what I'm about to tell you. So one of the things that we talk about quite a bit in screen readers, we talk about for readers, you know, the whole point of a reader, the very first thing is to support that writer. You are a champion for the writer. You're not someone who's going to beat that writer up. You're someone who's going to inspire and launch that writer out. And then you are a support system for producers. You are that person they can count on that will give your opinion in a great way. And then also you are an entrepreneur, like we talked about before. So one of the things eventually that we'll do is kind of a whole YouTube on how to build a YouTube channel. So as we build things, we're doing that. So because I've been buried in how to build a YouTube channel for the last few days, I'm a little bit scattered with the whole, oh, right away, what do we do? What is it that we actually are teaching? Oh, right, with screenplays. So the last part of the whole building tension thing, one, it needs to be relatable, right? Two, you need to have those moments of letting it go. And then three is that you can't cheat your audience. Don't cheat them. The payoff needs to be good. You need to have a good payoff. And that is a huge problem. And it's one of the main things that will tank a script. We have a whole session on false endings that we talked about. And a false ending can really, really work. Toli has a false ending, I think works fairly well. I think she's a brilliant writer. I think she's really wonderful. And I've read some stories about her writing that movie and how it kind of helped her personally. And it's such an interesting twist and concept that it just is one of those things that it's one of those ones where it works, but then if you were to go back and watch it again, I don't think it pieces quite together as well as it could, to where you go, oh, that's what that was. And that, I mean, you kind of do that, but that's why what's the big one that works so well, that's super famous, that put him on the map. Anyone? Bueller? Of a false ending, or not necessarily, it's a huge, you can call a false ending also a twist, but it's such a great payoff. And it's a super suspenseful movie. It's a thriller. Who's gonna get Staples gift card? So we give away gift cards every great once in a while. So I'll give you a few more hints. So it's a thriller, and it's got a lot of tension in it, but it also has this kind of ending where it's a super big twist, but it can be also considered a false. Elizabeth wins. Yes. It can be considered a false ending, right? Because that's not where you thought it was going. It's also a twist, but it's a false ending because you're expecting we're going to resolve the murder. You're off on this whole thing and you're trying to help him solve this problem. You're not thinking that that's the problem. It's so brilliant, right? It's brilliant, and he's brilliant. I think, yeah, me too, Toy. I think I love 24 too, trying to, in case people can't see the chat. Crying Game is another good example. That's not what I was going for. That's definitely a twist, but I don't know. Yeah, I would say it could fall in that thing of a false ending, although that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about not cheating your audience, and that is actually a great example of that. It's building and building, and it's building all this tension, and you're kind of in that one. Actually, in both of those examples are good ones where you're like, you know that there's a piece missing, more so in the Crying Game, where you know there's definitely something missing in this whole scenario where you're like, oh, okay, now it kind of all makes sense, right? Those are the movies that really work. But if you go back and watch The Crying Game or The Sixth Sense, it's fascinating to watch when you know and when you don't know. And I actually had someone that blew it for me with The Sixth Sense and told me the twist 10 minutes before I went to the movies. Yeah. So don't do that. Don't be that guy. Try not to do it here. This is a little bit different. We're teaching screenwriting, so they're all going to be spoilers. That's why I don't have it here. Our cup says spoiler alert. So anywho, so yeah, don't cheat. Don't cheat your audience. Make the payoff work. So if you do build tension, and like I said, if you do have the bomb under the table and then the place just blows up, I mean, that could be a spectacular ending if that's what you're going for. But people will be mad. If you build this whole movie and then everything just blows up, people will be mad because they are looking for that. They're investing their energy, they're investing their money, they're investing their suspension of disbelief. People don't give that up easily. Some people, the general public, and you can really mess with them if you mess with that. So those are kind of the three main things. We will put up the handout. Maybe Doug, you could do that. You can put it in the handout. And then if you are watching this on YouTube, you can just click on the button below and you can get the handout there. So that is a way to get a handout. I would also recommend for all y'all that aren't, especially, even if you are a screen reader, that you put a notebook together and print out these handbooks or, handouts, or, keep a file or whatever, because it's built. It's the handout central. I don't know what's a catchy phrase for that? Happy handouts. I don't know. So hopefully this can kind of help build it all together. This is where a really good reader would come in handy. And does the second act work? Knowing what it is and how it works plays into being a reader. Exactly, Guy. Exactly. See, Guy shows up a lot. It's showing. So it is that is what makes a good reader, is being able not only to go, yeah, here's the problem. This tension is not working, but be able to go, and here's why. We're not relating to it. These characters are not, if you have a situation where you're building tension between two characters and it's built on a lie, or actually romantic comedy is a good example of this. So most romantic comedies are built on a lie. If it's a lie that you can't buy into, or if it makes it to where you really root for one character versus the other character, then sometimes that will dissipate that tension that's so important. Or if the payoff isn't good, that's going to dissipate and ruin that tension. So tension is like a huge part of a romantic comedy. We're not just talking about things blowing up and, The Sixth Sense. In a romantic comedy, you need that kind of tension. It's got to build to the big chase. Most romantic comedies have some kind of big chase at the end. And if it doesn't build, if that relationship doesn't build and you don't care if they're together or not, then what's the point? And even in comedies, Hangover, the tension in The Hangover is so spectacular, right? In the first ones. And then actually The Hangover is a good example of it's hard to maintain that, right? In the sequels, and sequels in general, it's hard to maintain the tension, partly because the premise of The Hangover is super simple and very clever, and cracks me up because it's like, have you seen Dude, Where's My Car? So that was very similar premise, but they just they took it in a really kind of out there place, whereas Hangover just kept it very real and real. The characters are very real. Again, that suspension of disbelief. We buy that these guys have people in their trunks and they steal a police car and they get tased in front of children. There's so many things that really, probably wouldn't happen, but we're just with them. The whole Mike Tyson stuff is so outrageous, and yet it's so much fun that we're willing to suspend. And that's because the relationships are relatable. The tension is relatable. We're rooting for them. The payoff is really good and simple, super simple. They left him on, in case you haven't seen it, but it is, the payoff is pretty simple in that movie. So it really, really works. Handout, hangout. Nice. You're a bet? Are you, wait, I sometimes, I actually watch some Facebook Lives with another person, and she never remembers what she says either. And it makes me feel so much better. She actually uses, and this is so fantastic, a stenographer. She uses a stenographer to catch what she's saying. Because there's like a channeling thing sometimes when we get going, and I can't remember what it said. Writing is rewriting. Yeah, man. So yeah, helping the writer discover ways to improve his or her story is what we are here for. And we don't want a writer to walk away going, oh, that reader's, either a jerk or they didn't get it or whatever. Like, we want them to walk away going, yeah, that's right. This could use that, and this would help that. And oh man, and maybe if I did this, that's the kind of response that you want from someone when you are a reader. Writing is absolutely rewriting, as long as it's not rewriting and rewriting and rewriting and rewriting and never getting it out there. Then now we're going into a fear-based thing. So there is a time when you just gotta bite the bullet and get it out there. Oh, good. So Cherie's been, she's got a printer for Christmas. She's been printing stuff out. Nice. And she will have a fabulous book pretty soon. I'd like to see that. I expect pictures. Dude, there's a tiger in the bathroom, right? It's so awesome. That's like so great. And then the baby, like, suddenly there's a baby crying. But my absolute favorite moment in The Hangover, hands down, is when they walk outside and there's a police car. It's like not what you'd expect. And the actors, obviously, they're phenomenal actors, and their relationship's already been established in a very short time in such a great way. And just the three different reactions they have to it is, it's so spectacular. So, but there's so much tension, right? And the payoff works. It's relatable. They do dissipate it where they have moments of just either they kind of like go all haywire and just start laughing because they can't. That's another way that you could dissipate tension, like I said, and maybe we do a follow-up with this of all the different ways that you can build and release tension, is that the characters get so overwrought that they just can't handle it, and they either, you know, have like in Jerry Maguire, you know, I'm gonna flip out, you know, they have a moment of like, they just show me the money, they just like flip out, or they just start laughing when it's really inappropriate. And you see that a little more these days than you used to. That used to be a device that was sort of taboo. And then Beth Hensley did it beautifully in not Still Mad, no, yes. Well, they do it a little bit in that, but in Three Sisters, Crimes of the Heart, where they take their I think it's the grandparents in the hospital, and they come home and the person's dying, and they just all start laughing, and it's because they're just so, they can't deal anymore. I actually love, that's one of my, I've used that in plays. It's one of my favorite devices because that's, I'm a donkey on the edge, right? I can be really crying and really upset and still say I'm a donkey on the edge, like it's because that's just kind of who I am. So it is like, they're, you know, being able to kind of relate to that thing, and having characters, no matter what the genre is, release steam in unique ways. That's what makes it work. Cindy's printer won't print anything at all except the Hollywood Gatekeepers logo. Well, that's all you need. You just need that. I'm sorry, I don't know why that is. Tech. Sorry. Yeah. Anybody have any ideas for Cindy? I don't know. So those are kind of the three basic things. If you read the handout, we go into pretty big detail with those things. And then Doug, let's do a follow-up where we do kind of some of the things that you can use for tension, you know, flashbacks and time locks and all of that. Cool. So does it make sense to you? Say tension, building tension, if it makes sense to you. Let's go ahead and comment below. The more that you comment, the easier it is, and the more that we can kind of help. And if you have questions, thoughts, ideas, anything you want to share, you know, we're all for it. Just leave it below. And then if you're watching the replay, we'll try to get back in and comment as well. If you're seeing this now on YouTube, congrats. Super excited. You can also comment there. We really want, you know, to get a conversation going, because we really think that's the way that we'll start really building great writers. And that's our goal in all of this, is to raise the bar. We are raising the bar for writers, and we're raising the bar for readers. We think that readers have been long overlooked as an integral part of the process, and you know, too many long-suffering readers have been taking it out on writers, and we're here to change that. It's my Blue's Clues. Have you ever watched Blue's Clues? It is the best show ever. It's actually in my signature on my emails. If you use your mind and take a step at a time, you can do anything that you want to do. It's so true. And then my son, who's grown now, but he would watch that, and I would sit and read scripts and just listen to Blue. The whole thing. Sometimes you have to do that. It's awesome. You have to just sit back and listen to only Blue. Okay. Or I'm just going to sit and do half an hour Blue's Clues, just Blue. Okay. Sorry. New comments. People are like, God, move along, would you? Building tension, yay, says Toy. Awesome. Yeah, Shree's been doing, actually, thank you, Shree. She's been doing that for a while. She copies and pastes the body of the text and into a Word file. You're 3 weeks out from finishing. That's good to hear, because I know you've been working on stuff. Building tension, yay. Yep, look at all you guys. I love it, helping each other, copy and pasting. So go ahead, knock yourself out. Actually, that's a great idea. And you can keep your own long file too if you do it that way. You don't need all the artwork sometimes. So I think that's it for this week. Every week I do this, but that's okay, because now it's going to be on YouTube and you can just look it up. I don't know what we're doing next week. I thought it would come to me. Nope. Right on by. But we will be back, same bat channel, right? Yeah, next week, same bat channel with even more big news. We have lots of big news. And they are available online. Actually, I think, didn't someone post that? Or maybe that was in screen readers. Perhaps one of you screen readers can share that into Gatekeepers. Hi, Pauline. Good to see you. Yeah, Blue's the greatest. She's the greatest. Yay, Cindy has finally started writing. Woohoo! Glad to hear it. She's part of our finished mindset, mastermind, a finished mindset. That's what I have. So we will see you back next week with more talking about screenplays and more talking about entrepreneurs, which is what we are. Please share, tell your friends. If you have writers, comment, be engaged. The more that you're engaged, the better it will be. Yay to Cindy, congratulations. And yay to all of you. Thank you for taking your time. We really, 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 Roma? Yes. I haven't seen it. I have it. I need to watch it still, but I haven't seen it yet. But I love that it's both nominated in the foreign and in the main, Best Picture categories. It's pretty cool. So we will see you next week. Hooray! And it was Elizabeth. We'll get your gift card out to you. Congratulations. 6 cents. Right on. We'll see you guys next week. All right. We'll talk to you soon. See you on the inside.